After Emily left, the big house that once held our children's and pets' dreams was meaningless to me. Even if I wanted to stay, I didn't have the ability to bear the cost alone. Thinking about it, I made the most correct decision of selling the house. He must also want me to do this. The signature made me smile a little. I bet my wife will be proud of me for moving forward. The strange thing is that I started moving into the new house a week later. I slept deeply the first second. The next second, I suddenly got up from the bed and was completely awake. I didn't seem to have slept at all. At first glance, the room was nothing unusual, but the vase Emily loved the most in her life was lying shattered on the floor, broken into countless pieces. What happened? Did I forget to close the window, or did a stray cat break in? I muttered to myself. This was a habit I had developed after my wife died. I always felt that talking to myself could make the loneliness a little easier. After all, before the accident, both of us worked from home and were almost inseparable. To be honest, I didn't have many friends. She had a few, but most of them lived far away. We spent 24 hours together, yet we never got tired of each other. But after I was left alone, everything changed. I often forced myself to pull away from my chaotic thoughts. I had to live well and let my wife rest peacefully, knowing that I was okay. Ever since the vase broke, strange things kept happening. First, things began disappearing one after another. The first thing to vanish was my wedding ring. One second it was on my finger, and the next it was nowhere to be found. For a while, I thought I was getting old or simply wasn't sleeping enough. But it wasn't just my wedding ring. Pots, bowls, dishes, and even books mysteriously disappeared. I began to panic. Was this new house haunted? It was the only reasonable explanation. After all, I wasn't crazy. At least that's what I kept telling myself. However, my therapist had recently told me that I needed to take some vitamins to help with my severe brain fog symptoms. Maybe the ghost wasn't haunting the house. Maybe it was haunting me. Until that day, everything changed. I rarely invited a few coworkers over to work at my house because the company had lost power and we had an important project to finish. I sat on the couch with my laptop resting on my legs. Suddenly, the laptop began floating by itself. I instantly froze, completely helpless, and could only slowly reach out to grab it. But the laptop kept drifting farther and farther away from me. Everyone stared in shock. Old Jack's jaw nearly dropped. What the hell was going on? Then the laptop suddenly dropped to the floor. Miraculously, it didn't break. I let out a relieved gasp, but the next second, it was lifted into the air again and slammed violently onto the floor. It happened again and again, until the screen shattered into countless tiny cracks. Brother, your house is definitely haunted, Jack said in a low voice. My throat tightened. I didn't know if I was the only one who could feel it. Go back to the old house. This was the first time I had heard her voice since she died. The sweat on the back of my neck instantly ran cold. That voice was both familiar and unfamiliar. I almost couldn't recognize it, but I still heard it. It was Emily. Go back to the old house. A fool, she screamed. She had always been gentle and patient, but the sound of her voice at that moment was full of anger. I must be crazy. My male and female coworkers standing next to me had witnessed everything that had just happened. None of them even dared to sit down. I had once been certain that moving was the right choice. I wanted a smaller house, with fewer memories of my wife, but clearly, she didn't think the same way. The more I shook my head and refused to listen to her, the more violently the living room shook. Dust began falling from the walls. This place was definitely not right. Another coworker whispered, "Look at him. He looks like he wants to run out the door right now." A few seconds later, he actually ran. Everyone left. Within 5 minutes, the house was once again left with only me and Emily. There was a crazy man holding his hair, feeling that he was being watched or that his soul was being dragged around everywhere. "I beg you to let me live a stable life. You don't deserve to have happiness, especially after what you did to me." Her voice pierced my ears like cold air. I tried my best to rush to the door, but she wouldn't let me. The walls were shaking and the floor began to crack from the gaps. She wanted to trap me here just like I had trapped her. It's not my fault. You know it clearly. I'm thinking, but I don't have any memories. I'm learning from other people. I desperately pulled at the door, but it was as if it had been welded shut. It wouldn't move at all. Suddenly, everything went black. When I woke up again, everything seemed to have returned to normal. Some things were scattered across the floor. The laptop was completely ruined, but all traces of Emily, along with all evidence that my coworkers had ever been there, had disappeared. I was sitting safely on the couch without a single injury, but that made it even more terrifying. Maybe she was right. It was time to move back to the old house and face the sins I had committed.